Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is episode 2 of Queen's Realm Podcast. And today I have the lovely, the beautiful, my Tongan princess, and my damn whole name. So, Sister Laumanu, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi.
Today's episode. Today, we're going to be talking about the aftermath of losing yourself.
Ooh.
Now, I have done that. If somebody is an adult over 30 and they say they haven't done that, they're a liar. You've lost yourself in something. You found a bag of chips, but you was lost.
Yeah.
So,
Bound to happen.
The first little tidbit we're going to dig into is getting lost in relationships.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you first. Have you ever been lost in a relationship?
I have. One relationship in particular. So
you lucky it was one.
It was just one, and then after that, but it was definitely one. More than one for you? But relationships, so we're talking about a relationship with a significant other.
Yes, in the reference to the significant other, because you can get lost in friendships too.
Yep, that's why I'm saying I want to clarify which one it is. That's going to be another episode. But
you can get lost in the clique, and I didn't know we were still clicking up after 20, but apparently, no shade, no tea. Anyway. What were you saying? You've been lost in a relationship.
Yes, into a relationship for about 6 years. 6 years, 7 years. And it was bad. It was bad, and it got to the worst that you can think about. Mm-hmm. Whatever the worst scenario you can think about happened. So this is the perfect topic for me.
Okay.
Gone.
You've been delivered.
Delivered.
Okay. I want
think.
A second.
And it's so intricate. I feel like there's so many parts and layers. I don't know which way you want to just kind of flow with it, or.
So actually, were there signs that this might be like you about to get lost? Because I feel like it's red flags and everything, but we don't know it. Hindsight is 20/20. But if hindsight is anything like this year,
right?
So you don't always notice in the aftertaste. Like that was the moment when I was like, okay, I'm forsaking me for this.
I don't know how open and honest I'm gonna be, but
hey, just whatever you're comfortable with.
I am gonna be. I'll be completely open about it. So the moment that I thought that it was really going to be, so it was a relationship out of high school. Mm-hmm. And in high school, I didn't really see any signs. It wasn't really. I was doing my thing and you're doing your thing. So
right.
But after high school, there came a point where I moved to college and they moved with me. To where I was not focusing on my schoolwork. I wasn't involved in anything anymore. I'm fully invested in you. I want to be around you. And that's when I knew, because school was my number one.
Right.
I had goals, I have aspirations, I have things to do.
Right.
But here I am focusing, and I think that was when I really, because when they moved with me, I became pregnant within 2 months. And then, so prior to that, yes, I started seeing like little signs, but once I got pregnant, I was like, oh,
yeah, like now we're in here.
We're in here. Now we're in here. And this is what it is.
Because you weren't prepared for them or expected is what I would say, for them to go with you?
No, it was more, I don't know how to really explain it. It wasn't a consensual kind of thing. It was more like, I don't know what to do with myself, so now I'm coming to where you're at. So now you're here, and I think it was a transition for me being away from home.
Oh, yeah.
I have a comfort in knowing I have somebody here when I don't know anybody else here.
Right. So now all I have is you.
Huh?
So now all I have is you.
Exactly.
So I'm not in a hurry to, go out and meet new people doing it. Because I got somebody that takes the pressure off. And if sometimes I have social anxiety. If you like I don't feel like it. I don't feel like opening myself up to a group of people and it not be what it's supposed to be. So I don't want to do that. But I already know you.
Yep, and I know what it is, and I was also really young, and all I knew was my hometown. So for me, it was just like it was a shock for me to be on my own first, and then to have you here. I know I was trying to get away from this relationship because I wanted to focus on school, but you're here now and it's easier, and I don't really have to, like you said, find friends or
kind of
go
saved
out and
me.
do my own thing.
You kind of saved me. Like it didn't save you, but it felt like it could have felt at the moment like, okay, now I don't have to do, what I'm saying, what I'm scared of. Now I don't have to do that because you're here, and I could just. That's something I'm content with, complacent with. So I already, boom, that's fine. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And the scariest thing was that the real signs showed up after I was pregnant. And I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's almost like when a woman is pregnant with a man's child, it's almost like, not that they own you, but it's just they see, yeah, that's basically
they try to make it seem like because you're carrying my seed, even though it's our child, that
you're kind of stuck with me now. So now I can show you who I really am at this point, because here we are. Now you're stuck with me for 18 years. Now we're here. So, I mean, where are you going to really go now?
Right.
So if that's the question, that I think that was the first time after I became pregnant with my first child, because I know a lot of people would think being in a domestic violence relationship, it becomes a question of like, why did you have children in that relationship? If you knew it was a bad relationship, then why did children get bared into that relationship? But in this circumstance, it was always there. That person was always that person, but I was never shown that. It's so much different to see you at school than to see you at home all the time, because now you can't hide from me. I see you 24/7. I see when you're mad. I see when you're sad. I see how you react when you're stressed. Now we're here.
Your true self is out.
Your true self really comes out, because, I mean, if you're dating and you see each other once in a while, I can show you who I want to show you. I can prep myself to show you the side of me I want you to think that I am.
Work on it. I can practice. I can get in the mirror like, okay, today, you're not crazy today. From 12 to 3.
It's a lot of work. It sounds like, but people got time.
2:59, I might start itching, but from 12 to 3, you got some sense. Focus. Sometimes I feel like crazy people do that. Because stuff will happen.
That's
like,
what it was.
I didn't see. Since when do you do that? So you always brush your teeth standing on one foot? Like, when I never saw that. But I never see you. I never see you in your element.
And I think that is
not the mask.
I understand why the confines of marriage is that's where you're supposed to have sexual relationships, is because before that there is no covenant. We are not tied together. We have no we're not bound together. So so I understand now looking back, but
Mm-hmm.
like being in there and being young, I didn't understand because at the same time, it was never really explained to me either.
Right. It's just told to us, like, don't do it.
Exactly.
Okay, but
Yes. And I try, like, sometimes you, as a parent, you are doing a lot of things and it's just kind of like, oh, just brush it off, brush it off. But as much as possible, whenever my kids are asking me questions, I try to answer, because then it leaves that little bit of a footstool for, for them to be a little bit curious and be like, oh, why not then? Why? Okay, so let's go check it out. If I don't know why, I'm only going to know if I do it.
I'm taking notes. Hold on, because I got a question I want to ask too.
But yeah, so that's really, I think that's where there was a disconnect for me, because this was also my first real relationship, if you
Right.
would say it that way. I mean, of course, like, you have a crush on somebody, you talk to other people, but this was the first time where I had been long term with somebody, and it was just like, okay, well, and I'd also say from parents' standpoint too, my parents, they were there first. That was there was no dating, there was no like around, they met each other and they got married. That was it. So you don't really have that experience to share with your child, if you get
Right. So you don't know, like, how to tell you the stories of how we met and how we did that and say, like, I can't.
Or and experiences you had dating other people, because you didn't really date other people. It was just you and my dad, and then that was it. Or my dad and you and my mom, and that was it. So,
Yeah.
but.
So I asked you, so now, have I been lost? I think in every relationship, and this is, I talked on the first episode about one of the reasons why I became celibate. This is another reason, because I think I lost a bit of myself in every relationship. In my marriage, I was completely lost because somebody said they fell in love with me, but slowly it was and I'm a people pleaser. I'm a giver. I have a very nurturing spirit. So if you say you don't like something, and I don't like conflict. Now, let me just put a disclaimer. I don't like conflict. So don't come for me, and I won't come for you.
Right.
Hit me and I won't touch you. And I'm not confrontational, but I will handle myself very well in confrontation. I am equipped. Okay, I am equipped and prepared, and I stay ready, so I have to get ready for any type of confrontation, whatever type of confrontation that may be.
Right.
I'm not gonna. They know what I mean. They smart. But in my marriage, in the relationship I had before my marriage, and the one after it, so the last 3 relationships I've been in, I'm a serial monogamous. I will say that every relationship I've been in, the shortest one I've been in was a year, because I automatically want, we like each other. As soon as we say I love you, then I'm so used to, okay, then we need to be together because we love each other. She has broken that generational cycle for herself, because I don't want to pass it on to no child. So we don't do that more. That's one of the reasons I became celibate, because I have all these soul ties with these people. So it's a piece of you with them. Yeah. And how big of the piece depends on you. But I lost myself in all 3 of those relationships because I had 3 different people with 3 different personalities telling me they love me, but they say they love you. And little by little is, you know what? I don't like when you do this. So I stopped doing that thing. I don't like when you do this. So I stopped, like, we don't even talk. I never made it be a compromise. I just said, okay, I want them to stay with me. But that was a point I'm about to make in a second. I wanted them to stay with me. I wanted them to be happy. I'm thinking about, okay, I need to keep you happy. I need to do this for you so you can stay with me. I have no concern for making myself happy or making sure I was happy already or making sure they were happy already. You need to be happy on your own, so your whole happiness don't depend on me. But I didn't know that. because I got into a relationship thinking it was my job to make you happy. And they had the feeling was it was my job to keep them happy. But none of that equation, neither one of those equations had it. So who was making to be happy? Was anybody concerned whether I was happy or not?
You were considered about, hey, right.
So every time somebody said they didn't like something, I stopped it. But here's the thing. I talked about recipes yesterday. You have a recipe for something, and it's okay to change it to your taste.
Right.
Key ingredients, you don't know what's going to happen if you take that out. You asking me to stop doing this is going to affect something else in my personality that you might like or you don't have a problem with. But I don't have a problem doing it because I want to be with you. So I'm going to take this out, take this out, take this out, take this out. So now you're replacing it with things you would rather have me do. And I'll do them. But that's not me. So now we're 4 or 5 years into the relationship and you're telling me, I don't know who you've become. What? I don't know who you've become. I don't like her. I don't like this. I don't like this new you. Well, this is all the stuff you said you wanted. And I did it because you said you wanted it. But when you met me, you was fine with me. And I never said anything about, oh, what was wrong with it when you met me. I never did any of that. I never, it was okay then. It's not okay now. Because I realized people grow and things change. So, but I wasn't even adapting. I was just completely
just changing.
There was no
everything.
just change, and immediately I'm gonna leave it immediately. But you said you like this now, so it got to the point where I didn't know where I was. I didn't know who I was. All I knew was I was with you. We became an us, and it was fine to become an us. But I didn't just use the pronoun of I in me. I lost my identity. I didn't know who I was, and it was crazy because something I wrote down when you was talking was, it's easy to get lost if you don't know who you are to begin with.
And I just wrote that down too.
Because I didn't know who I was for real. I knew who I was trying not to be. And that my whole life was being built on trying not to be this. Don't be this. Right. Don't be this. Don't be the one to child to get pregnant because your sister already had a baby, so you don't have a baby. Don't do this. You got good grades.
Keep away. You're straying away from things. But what are you going to?
We're not even going to talk about being Black.
Right.
It's so much stuff that you feel like that you cannot do. And it's an innate responsibility in you to act a certain, if it's another Black person acting crazy over there, then you have to make sure you you behave.
You know, and I actually never knew about that. So my ex-boyfriend is Black. And we went to a restaurant, and I've never had issues at restaurants, ever. I've never. And the first thing I noticed was we were sat down last when we came in first. And I was like, excuse me, And I was already ready to go off of that. I noticed food differences. I noticed so many differences. And I was ready to go off, and he was like, no, relax.
You can't, because if
and I was like,
he angry Black man.
No, and he was like, I'm not going to be the angry Black. I was like, no, you are not being treated correctly. What do you mean you don't want to be that? And it's like this responsibility of, not accepting.
I gotta act like I behave for the white folks, for master, though I don't get in trouble. That's still a mentality you have, and we ain't never been slaves. But we just know that what get portrayed.
So you can't speak up for yourself because you don't want to be that person.
Right, and I carry all of that carried into me and who I was at the time. I didn't know who I was. All I know, all my whole life had been up to that point was focus on who not to be and what not to do. So I didn't have a sense of who I was. Whose I was, because I already told them on the last episode, I love Jesus. So I know whose I am. I know who I am. And I know I was created and made with a purpose. Somebody took their time and thought about me enough and loved me enough for me to be created. But I didn't have no sense of that.
Yep.
I didn't have no sense of that. And I feel like You don't have to have the same faith I do, but this is why I feel like you need to believe in something. Because if you don't believe in something, how do you really know who you are?
Yes. So I'm almost going to come and revolve from the other side too. So I wrote something down here. So you're talking about when you don't know yourself. And I had just posted something online about how healing is so important because you, whatever you embody, you attract. And so then that's bringing me to my point of why it's so destructive to get with somebody who doesn't know who they are. And that is the main reason why somebody will make you tell you, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this, and you turn into this different person because they don't even know who they are. They're not even secure in their self first to be able to, because if you were secure in yourself, you would, when you met me, you liked a certain personality and you liked me. Yes, we evolve. Yes, we in our mindsets and in the things that we believe, yes, we progress in that way. But my personality is not up for that discussion. And like I wrote something down about that too, because when I was younger, I have always been really confident. And I've always been really loud and very talkative, and I'm a very social person. And little by little, he kept telling me, you know, who do you think you are? That was like it was subtle. It was just like, oh, who do you think you are? Like just messing around, playing. And that's why I pay attention. Even when somebody's joking, you have to pay attention to the verbiage.
Gotta say what
somebody will tell you exactly what they mean between the he and the akiki. They'll tell you exactly what they mean. And little by little, it was just kind of like, oh, you're so loud. You know, everywhere we go, you're so loud. You talk so much. You are just always laughing. Why do you laugh at everything? And little by little, that confident, happy person started turning into this, you know, like I guess men like women that are more quiet and more mysterious or
meek,
whatever.
Because we think meek means weak, but it doesn't. Meek means that you know when to talk and when not to.
Exactly. Right.
But it turns you into, okay, now I don't know who I am because who I usually would be
is not good enough for you. And this is, for some reason, so when I'm talking about confidence as a young woman, I was always confident, regardless of what it was. I was always confident in myself. There was a certain turn, and this is so funny because I was thinking about this yesterday when I was working out. There's a turn and a perversion in families, friends, where it's kind of like, you know, when you go to Thanksgiving or Christmas and it's like, oh, where's your boyfriend?
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? It's like, you're not good enough to be by yourself. Where is your counterpart?
Right.
And
you need somebody with you.
Exactly. You're not enough by yourself. And it's just like, I mean, I don't have daughters yet. I want daughters. But that's one thing I would want to, and even sons, my sons too, to instill in you, you are enough. You are enough on your own. Of course, we're rooted in Christ. That's where our strength and our spirit comes from. But you have to know, as a person, you do not need a second counterpart. You don't need another person to give you your identity. That's what, and like
we are already been identified by the blood in it.
Exactly. And like you're saying, if that's not your value system, I hope you have a value system that does give you that, because in Christ we know our identity. We know who created us. We know what that he has created us for a purpose. He created us fearfully and wonderfully. So I feel like you're saying, I didn't have a sense of that. I was just kind of being, and that's a dangerous place to be, because that's where the enemy can come and play, and he can. For me, I started yesterday when I was thinking about it. I'm just like, man, isn't it so funny that I was so headstrong? I had a scholarship. I was going to school, and there was so much going for me. And then all of a sudden, there was this person that just kind of creeped up and I won't say broke my spirit, but kind of tore it down to where
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't who I was created to be. I wasn't functioning to my highest potential.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it was all because this person didn't really know who they were. So now they're making me question who I was when I
I
knew.
just wrote that down. I wrote that down because I wrote something like that down because I got to the point where I still do it now. Like I had a little bit of anxiety, but your anxiety was exasperated. The spirit of anxiety got real heavy because now I'm worried about keeping up with this person you want me to be. And every
This
other day is
image.
something that you don't like. And it's so not me. It becomes a job now. It becomes work. Relationships are work anyway. But this whole thing in itself is a job and a job. I got to make sure that I be this person every day. So I'm not as happy. I'm not as loving. I'm not as
I'm walking
churchy.
on
I'm
eggshells.
walking on eggshells because I know if you have a feeling, and I have a legitimate feeling, if you have a feeling, I can't feel right now because I have to make sure this, and what you said something about healing, I wrote down the same wounds. This is why you got to make sure both of you are healed. Both two people are healed in friendships, relationship, whatever, because the broken parts of each other are attracted to one another. And if you have the same wounds and the same things that need to heal, me and Gloria was talking about this a little bit in the other episode, but I said that's the episode for today. But if you have the same wounds and the same things that need to be healed, not everybody deals with trauma the same way. I apologize a lot for no reason. Like I'll say I'm sorry, or
Me
I'll
too.
ask you if you're okay for no reason. And I literally just mean, are you okay? I'm not trying to be sarcastic, funny, or mean. I'm just, are you okay if it's quiet too long? But the crazy thing is I like quiet. I like silence. I like to be in my own thoughts. But if I'm with another person and we could just be enjoying the moment, are you okay? Are you all right? Because I
Good.
had to act like I was okay on the outside to satiate another person, but inside I was internally screaming, I'm not really okay. And because I'm acting like I'm okay, you automatically assume everybody else is doing it because I'm doing such a good job at acting like I'm okay. You think I'm okay. So when my marriage and everything fell apart, everyone was like, oh my God, I didn't know you was having problems. I didn't know you, because in my mind I had it handled.
Right.
I hadn't hit it, but I couldn't get this person to stop cheating on me. I couldn't get this person to help me around the house sometimes. I couldn't, and then they became depressed. So now I have anxiety and you have depression, but I'm still trying to hold on to this. When people ask me how you doing, I don't complain. I just talk about how great and wonderful you are. I don't
Yep.
spill any tea until after it's over and people be like, oh my God, you stayed with this, you stayed with that, because I loved or what I thought I loved. And I had, and you get to the point where you are apologizing for being yourself. Because I had reached a
Yes.
point where I realized, you know what? I've just got to be me. And either you're going to stay with me or not, you're going to do whatever you got to do. I'm just going to be me. I'm not going to apologize for being me. I'm sick of that. I'm discovering who I am. Because I got saved at 16 and I was okay. And then I had to rededicate myself again as an adult because after that, I got in another relationship after my marriage because my marriage broke up and I lost my grandfather back to back. So I had to rebuild myself because me and you have talked. And like I was broken already. And then I met somebody else and they made me feel good. And, if y'all watched the Red Table Talk, Jada said she just wanted to feel good. I just wanted to feel.
Period.
Now, had Jada had said that, I would have rocked with her a little bit. I just wanted to feel. So because they told me it was real, the relationship right after my marriage, I thought it was real. But it was just a recycling. It was like my marriage 2.5. Like it was the upgraded version. It had extra cheese on it. It was the same thing with just extra cheese. That's it. It was supersized because they made me feel like there wasn't a problem with me. But they
Ooh.
made a point of telling me in roundabout ways, this is what I do and don't like. I had a very long list of what they didn't like. So I'm like, okay, what do you like? So I didn't know how to be. I'm awkward when I had just became confident. You know, my friends had just started calling me extra because I used to be shy. You know, I talk a lot more. I'm just free, and I was becoming free in myself. But I was still in the transition of doing it, and I don't think I needed to be in a relationship at that time because I had just started becoming me, or recognize who I was, and talking to God more and getting more into that. And this was like it was like enough of Jesus with this person. It was like enough of Jesus, but some of this other stuff too. But I'm like, okay, Jesus in there, so we can, because my ex, we'll just throw this out there. I used to live a homosexual lifestyle. I don't anymore. So that's a whole nother thing. Girl, that's 3 or 4 episodes. So I immediately met somebody else after that who also didn't be a woman, but I was in the transition period of becoming another person. So it was so much stuff that I would accept and certain stuff that I wouldn't accept. So when that didn't work, I'm like, okay, look, you don't need to do nothing. You don't need to be relationships. You don't need to have sex. You don't need none of that, because you are getting ready to forget who you are again. But I was in so much pain. So much pain. I would sit down here. I'm in my basement right now. I would sit down here in this basement on this couch over here and cry. Cry so hard I would rock. Cry so hard my body would shake for hours until I went to sleep. And I would try to pray, but I would just start sobbing. And you know, Manu's heard this story a couple of times, and I've even written about it. And I'm like, God, I just don't want it to hurt anymore. And I went and I just had the realization right now with something I just said. I went from I just wanted to feel to I don't want to feel nothing now. Because me just wanting to feel, because you got to be careful. Me and Laumanu are reading devotion now about the words you speak and what you're saying.
And it is so good.
It's really good. And it's confirmation for me right now that this is coming to me right now. But I said I wanted to feel. I just wanted to feel something. So I felt something, but I didn't specify what I wanted to feel. It was good some of the time. But when it hurt, baby, it hurt.
Yep.
It hurt because they honestly, truly believed that this was going to work with this person, because I did it. I did the same things differently. That's the key. I did the same things, but differently. Now I realize that I need to do some completely different things. I don't live that lifestyle anymore. I don't knock anybody who still does or whatever. That's their business. But for me, one of the things, like God said, you don't want to hurt no more, then you got to heal. You have to heal. And I was thinking healing meant just heal from this. Okay, you can't heal from this trauma until you realize what made it a trauma. So you go to this trauma, and you got to go all it's steps and stuff. It's a 3-year process. To now, right now, I'm in a position where, I don't like telling my business, but we're gonna tell a little bit of it. That I'm loved, I'm being loved, and I love, but it's in a way where I'm comfortable being myself. They don't have a problem.
Letting it flow.
They don't have a problem with me being me. It ain't never, well, why do you do that? Or I don't ever hear them questions. They're very understanding. I'm very understanding. Okay, this is how this person is. If you do something that I don't really care for, or like, we have a conversation.
Yep.
It's not like, oh, don't do that no more. And I said one time something happened I did that he didn't like, and he said, and I said, oh, I just won't do it no more, because that's what I usually go to.
Automatic.
Like, that's not what I mean. It surprised me that you did it. It's not a bad thing. It just surprised me that you did it. So you don't have to be like, I ain't gonna do it no more, because I knew you didn't do it with no malice. So did I just have an adult conversation?
Adult conversation, and it's so important.
We just talked about that. And then I find myself sometimes apologizing for stuff for no reason. Like, oh, I'm sorry. And he'll be like, what are you saying sorry for? What did you do? I'm like, then you, if that's just something you do, it's just something you do. I'm not upset. Did I get upset? You're not upset, but you're so used to. So that just let me know. I'm gonna be honest with myself. It's still some healing that I need to do.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever really, yeah, for sure. I don't think it's ever really I don't know. And because I am still in that, I don't know if there's further down along, like later on, I'll look back and be like, oh, I'm completely and fully healed. All I know is that I am progressing, but I did take a few notes when you were talking. And you had mentioned, before you mentioned healing, you were talking about being whole yourself before you get into a relationship. And I know for a fact that that's so important, because we talk about two becoming one, right? And people just, it's just kind of something that glazes over our mind, that we're just kind of like, oh yeah, us two are coming together. But for us to become one, we have to be one on our own. We have to be two. You need to be one. I need to be one, before we can come into this thing and be one together.
Ooh, I just thought about something.
And it's just like, sometimes we just come in where I'm half and you're half, and now we're compensating for that other half, when that had to happen on our own time, on our healing time, between me and the Lord, not between me and you and us trying to heal each other.
Right.
And I wanted to touch on the healing aspect, because there was a lot I had to heal from. And I remember when I first really decided, like, okay, like you said, I got into a relationship right after that relationship with my children's father. So we have 2 boys together. And then after I left that relationship, it wasn't even, I'd say, less than 4 months later,
Same.
I was in a relationship.
Same.
And it was almost like, it wasn't that I knew what I was looking for. It was just that I wanted the love of a person.
Yes.
I just wanted to feel love. I wanted to be held. I wanted somebody to talk to. I wanted somebody to do life with. And this person didn't work out. So now I want somebody else to fill that void. And the problem with that is, and you touched on this too, is just, you have not fully healed. So now we have the same situation, but with a different faith. We still have the same, and it does have a little bit of sprinkles on it. You're not what I had. You're not, oh, that's what it is.
Right.
You're not as bad as what I had.
Girl, I just wrote down.
You're not the Lord.
Wrote down what you just said. I just wrote down, I wanted to feel better than the last thing.
Yes.
It don't even have to be that much better, just better than that.
Just better than that. And it's not like I'm fully saying like, oh, you're God's best. You're the Lord's best for me. Because for me, it was just like, man, if he was just a good person, we'd have a family right now. We'd be a family right now. If you were that's all I need, is to find a good person. A good-hearted person, and we'll have what I was looking for. And that relationship really taught me, because that person really was a good person. But and I remember when I started getting into this transition period where I started feeling like, this started off, our relationship didn't start wholesome, if you will. And maybe a year into the relationship, I started seeking God, because I'm like, something feels off, and when you go into something and you don't really ask, or because if the Lord says no, that's it.
You don't ask, you inform God on the way.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make it what it is, and I'm just gonna pull it together for what. And like you said, there's Jesus in it. We are going to church together. We are praying together. We're doing Bible studies together. Aside from the sin, so this has Jesus in it. So
yeah, Jesus. As long as Jesus is in there, we good.
As long as Jesus is somewhere, exactly. And so it got to the point where I really fasted and really seek to God, and I kept telling him, like, why can't I have something good? This is good. He loves my kids. He loves me. We're good. We're a good unit. And he was like, he is a good, but he's not your good. He's not the good I created for you. There is a purpose in marriage. There is a reason that I have a unity. And this does not have that. You can't make this that. Stop trying to make it that. So I really had to come to the point and build up the courage and just be obedient. And I broke off the relationship. There was nothing wrong. And you know what's even crazier? I know this is kind of a little bit of a tangent. Because when I did that, everybody came for me. Because they're like, you were in this horrible relationship and now you're in something good. So the problem is you. And I'm just like, and it's like a space of time where you have to bear what God told you. And just kind of put it on your back and just be good. It comes with the peace, and you know you're being obedient. You know it's not you. So much so that when people come against it, it's just like, well, I don't even have to explain it.
I don't explain. I
don't even have to explain it to you. You could think whatever you want, but I know what I know. And later down the line, it was confirmed. I saw the real person kind of started coming out once I broke things off, and it was just like, okay.
Because you would have probably been married already, and then
no. And this is another thing. We were already headed towards that time. We were already headed towards that, and I know a lot of people started asking me, like, if he would have asked you to marry him. This is a question I got. It's just so weird, the questions that people ask you. But I got this question often. And the question was, if he would have proposed to you and God would have said no, what would you have done? And that, I mean, I'm not going to lie, that is a tough spot to be in, because it's just like, okay, we're here. Our families are involved, which our families were involved. Our families are involved. My kids are involved.
Right.
So for me to retract and to backtrack and come out of this, there's a lot more to it than just that, you know? And I think it was when I came out of that, well, let me ask, I saw you taking notes, so I feel like you got something to say before I move on from that.
No, what I just wrote down was, it's something I wrote down a couple of weeks ago, because they don't know. Every so often, I take a mental health day. And what I do on that day is I usually listen to worship music. I may not listen to nothing at all. I don't come inside my room. I turn on my little candle warmer, put some lavender oil and peppermint oil in there. I listen to music or vibe out. I don't watch TV. I don't turn my phone on. I don't touch this computer. I don't do anything. And I just talk to God, or I talk to myself. I'm okay, what has been on your mind lately? Let's digest. And one of the things I wrote down the other day that I felt led to write down again was, what replaces what you let go? Because you put down this relationship, you put down that, but if you're so used to holding on to something or holding on to everything or trying to hold everything together, when you let a bad relationship go, I want to fix something. I can't fix me. I can't heal me. So I want to fix something else. I want to put something else together that's broken. But that's not our job. My boy Samo, who is an awesome singer, said, he got a song that says, I am not God. He said, I want to heal you, but that's not my job. Literally, that's not my job. And I think we get in relationships and we think because you share the same brokenness as me, that we know how to help each other with that brokenness. But that's a myth, simply because if you knew how to fix that brokenness and had a willingness to fix it, you would have fixed it before it got to me. And I would have fixed it before I got to you. Now in here, holding on to each other's brokenness. So once you let that go, what replaces what you let go? What you picking up? What you putting in place to that? Why are you trying to put something in place to that? Maybe that don't even need to be a place.
Hello.
Maybe that just erase it.
You know why that's so good? And this is what reminds me of that is sin. Because it's just like, when we're always taught, and we just said this right now, growing up, we were always taught stay away from, right?
Mm-hmm.
In church or in religion, it is, that's the main focus. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't think. But the real question is like, okay, so if I'm not doing that, then what do I do? What if I'm not going to be, what are you replacing it with? Because you may be running from this thing, running and going to this thing. This thing is just as bad as that, but you're thinking it's okay because it's not bad.
Right.
And it's also important too, because you get into this idle place where you're just like, okay, I'm not doing that. How do I keep myself from doing that? You do whatever it is.
You pick something that's not as bad as what you're trying to do, but it still ain't good either. Oh,
so that's the real question is like, what am I replacing my tendencies, and like we're reading that devotional right now, and it's saying, what is my knee-jerk reaction? What do I automatically,
like, I thought I changed, and then something happened and let you know, okay, maybe I need to work on, did I really change, or do I just avoid that situation completely so that I don't do that? Because, you know, I think Pastor even made a point to say one time where you're doing something and you don't curse no more, but let you stub your toe on the corner of the bed. Your knee jerk and initial reaction, hey, sweet honey iced tea. Somebody gonna curse a little bit. One of the other things I wrote down was when you was talking about being whole and being healed. Even the scripture says, two become one. You don't say two halves become one. 0.5 become one. 0.75.
0.75, whatever you want to say.
But two wholes become one. So you need to be two whole entities.
And that's not even to say like you have to be a perfect person, because don't get that twisted where one means perfection, because we're not ever going to be perfect. But for us to come into this, you cannot have unresolved trauma.
Right.
That's what we'll go ahead and try. And I mean, of course, every situation is different, but at the end of the day, unresolved trauma, we're going to be doing the tango that you're talking about, of where I'm trying to heal you, you're trying to heal me. But I mean, at the end of the day, if we knew how to do this, then we would have did it for ourselves first before we got here.
Listen, less work.
And it would have been less work, right? And I mean, like, I know that, and this is so important. So when I really got out of both of the relationships, I was really on my own, and I started my journey to celibacy, which I didn't know you could be celibate after you had kids. So for me, I was just like, oh, I can actually do this, because I'm like, what is the point? What is the point of being celibate after having kids? I already did it. So what is the point?
That was my whole thing too. Like, what's the point of this?
Yeah, and the point is obviously because it gives me, first of all, it cleanses your spirit, like you're saying. You give yourself to people. It's draining in a certain kind of way, where you can be fully focused on yourself. Now I'm fully focused without any distractions. I'm focused on my purpose and what I'm doing and the things that I'm going towards. But also, one thing that he told me that was so good, I was like, God, like, I really want to heal. I really want to heal from all of this. I want to move forward. What should I do? And he was like, journal everything from when you were born, from what you can remember, all the way till today. And I was like, that doesn't say, it doesn't have a punch to it. You know, when like you feel like God's gonna speak, you're just like,
oh, he's about to say something. Like he's God, so everything he says is grand. You thought it was about to be some big
you're just like, okay, go ahead, say it, do it. And he said, then I'm just like,
because that's how I heard it in my head. I said, you need to heal. Okay.
Right. It doesn't just from what is it?
You must mean this. But when I started to dissect it, and probably when you start to write it, he was like, oh,
Listen, and it's not even to
Ow.
where, like a lot of times when people get into domestic violence relationships, a lot of people think like, oh, you probably saw that in your house, and I did not.
Right.
I did not, and
Right.
it was when I started writing from my childhood to my teen years, I started seeing where, not perversion, but more so like where things got twisted, where things in my mind got mangled, and now we're here. So I had to, and it was hard too, because there were days where you're just literally crying and bawling because you're like, I did not even remember. So I'm gonna share one quick entry that I did, and I was just like, wow. I had an entry where I was reminded in high school I fainted, and nobody knew what was going on, and I was in the nurse's office, and when I woke up, the nurse was like, what's going on? And I told her I was starving myself because we didn't have food in the house. And so everybody else could eat. I starved myself. And I started bawling, and I'm like, God, it's over. Like, we're not there no more. Right. I'm not, this is not going on. So why is it? And he's like, because it is. You are still starving yourself so that others can eat.
Yes.
And I was just like, and this is what we're talking about, the aftermath of losing yourself, because I'm literally starving. I'm malnourished at this point. I'm fainting. I'm on the floor to make sure that you're good. And so that whole thing was just so simple, but it was like a process that I had to go through to pinpoint things. And that's what I mean by like unresolved trauma. Have you gone back? Have you gone back into your childhood and seen the things that you don't like? And especially when you're raising children, it's so important, because it's just like, if we're going to break generational curses, and we're really going to do that, we
got to recognize the curse.
Exactly. Where did it come from? The history of it. Why are things, we don't just accept things for what they are.
Right. So for my healing, one of the things that I had to, because I had these, being celibate, I had these notions about sex, about my sexuality, because I was in the community, and not to knock the community, but I was in the community and didn't understand it. Like, I have people, any people I love, everybody, I feel like some people are born that way. I feel like some people, it's a nature versus nurture thing. And if you don't know anything about that, that's some psychology stuff. It's basically your genetics versus the environment you grow up in. Right. So I was assaulted multiple times. It went on from 10 to 13 with the same couple of people, and then a separate time when I was 13. And that's when I was still very much a tomboy, back then. I was developed a lot earlier than other kids. So boys noticed, so I became I covered it up a lot more because I had breasts already in 3rd grade. Came on my cycle a lot earlier than everybody else. So I was developing and filling out. So people was noticing, but I didn't want them to notice. Then I'm getting unwanted touches, unwanted glances, and then the assault is happening. But I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my dad until I was 30 years old. I'm 33. And I didn't realize the reason why I don't, at the time I didn't realize the reason why I didn't want to have anything to do with men is because, one, I had seen how certain people around me acted and what they did to be with a man. That's the nature part, the nurture part, really. The nature part of it was, if this is what y'all do to us, then I don't want another one to touch me in no capacity. And then I got to the point where I didn't want to be touched. So how hard is it to even be in a relationship and you telling the person that I don't like to be touched. I don't want to be touched. And I definitely don't want to be touched by one of them. And by them, I mean the man. But that's my experience with that. My God had revealed to me, like, hey, everything is for a reason and a purpose. And let me show you this. And I got shown something one day, and I was like, that's nice looking. And it happened to be a male. I had never thought about males like that since I was young, because I dated people in high school and in middle school. And it was one person in particular that there's one person in particular that I have had feelings for, loved since I was 15 years old. It happens to be a man. But it's certain things I wouldn't do and I couldn't do and I can't do because you're kissing me or you're touching me. And I want you to, but at the same time, when you do, I get a flashback. So I can't explain that or articulate that to you because, so my identity got attacked a long time ago. So it just, I don't want you, and I'm reading a devotional right now. It's the one you was reading.
Oh, More Than Pretty.
Yes.
By Erica Campbell.
Yes. I'm reading that now.
So
and
good.
That really spoke to me today. I'm like, I'm reading this today because I had to catch up. Reading this today and I'm doing this episode today. I hear you. I see you. That my identity was attacked a long time ago. So it was, we're going to attack who she is now. So she don't ever get to the point of realizing who she is. But I got it. I know who I am and whose I am now. But then having discussions with people about it now, when I let my close friends and some family know, they're like, well, how come you didn't say anything?
Oh my,
because I know this family. And even then, as a child, I'm like, if I say anything, everybody I love and who really loves me would be in jail. Somebody would be dead. So you take that responsibility as a child. And this is why, sometimes I don't like it when people are like, well, why you didn't say nothing? And it's a reason, because you feel immediate shame. You feel immediately like, this is my fault. I must have been doing something. I shouldn't have been doing that. But it's also you, even though you may have not felt protected, you want to protect. Because a part of me also be feeling like somebody should have been protecting me. Another part of me would be like, you should have known better because you were old enough to know. You was a smart girl, but no matter what the situation or circumstances, that should have never happened to me.
Period.
Then the sick part of it, the perverted part of it, you talking about the perversion of things, was I should have been glad somebody even wanted to touch me. That's how far away I was from myself and from my own identity. Woo, hold on.
So you're saying that's what you told yourself internally. You're not saying somebody externally told you that. You're saying
this is all the stuff I'm hearing in my own head, and I just had to. Woo, because yeah, because it was finna be. It's finna get a little damp. It was finna get a little damp in there. But that's how deep I did not know who I was, because these are thoughts I was having as an adult. Like, it may have happened when I was 10, from 10 to 13, and again when I was 13, and that may have happened. But as an adult, I'm still like, well, I got abundance of people telling me they don't like this about me. They don't like that about me. They love me, but they don't like what's on the outside. So at least somebody liked me enough that they couldn't stand it, that they had to abuse me to get it. That was the perverted thought of it. Like, I should be glad that somebody wanted to touch me because I'm so disgusting. I'm so terrible. I'm so horrible. At least somebody wanted to touch me. But that's how dangerous it is when you don't heal.
Yeah. And it's that internal voice more than anything will tear you down before anybody external will. That's what I was asking before, because I thought you were talking about somebody outside of you. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of times that voice, if you don't fight down that voice, if you don't subdue that voice will convince you of things that are not real and not present,
sounds like you too.
Not factual.
The deceiver sounds like you too. That's the kicker. The negative, your self-talk, the good and the bad, the lying part and the good part, they both sound like you. They both sound like you. But what are you more tapped into? This is why you gotta know
Mm,
who you are and whose you are and where you come from. This is why I feel like a belief system is important, because your identity, like you have to know who you are so you don't have to deal with, because one of the things that, and then there becomes a numbness. There's a numbness in you, like everything in your world is on autopilot, because I just
mm,
want to get from this day to the next. I want to
mm.
die. Don't nobody know that. I want it to be over with, but don't nobody know that. I just want to get from this day. I made it to today. God,
Right.
even praying to make it through the day. I made it to the day. I'm not thankful, or I'm resentful that I made it here. I'm
Mm,
resentful that I made it to another day. That's
mm.
how deep it gets when you don't know who you are, when you lose yourself. Because if you're trying to figure yourself out, like I used to think it was such cliche mess that people like, I gotta figure out who I am. Baby, do that as
No,
soon as you
that's
can. That's
it's
real.
it's real. It is
I'm
real.
33 and I'm just getting into, I don't want to, what word I want to use? The nucleus of who I am
Mm,
and being okay with it. I'm okay with it. And every day more and more I'm learning that is people not going to be okay with it. I don't care. And it's not that I'm uncaring or I'm cold or mean to people. I can't care about everything everybody else cares about when it's upsetting or it's going to disrupt the work I've done on me, because I'm not going to be any service to this world, and I can't work in my purpose if I'm not me. That's why it's
mm,
important that I'm me. I have my own identity. I don't care about the next or last relationship I get into. I have to be Samia in that relationship with that person.
right.
Like when you say us, there's an us, and then there's parentheses Samia, and you know
And this, right. Rather than
we,
replacing it with we and everything is we and everything is
because we
this.
are we, comma, we
And
semicolon.
then our names and just
Right.
our own identities at this
Right.
point.
We are two entities inside of one. This is the crank and this is the wheel. We both need each other to turn, but I still
Right,
can function. I still have a job to do. I'm still me outside of this. But if you
right,
don't, and
right.
if you don't, this is for everybody. If you don't know if you lost yourself, if you think you might be losing yourself, you probably are. That's the first sign.
Mm,
Because I got some signs and symptoms for you. If you feel yourself becoming spineless, all of a sudden you're a pushover. Every stuff you used to stand firm on, that was a firm belief of you. Now, I'm not saying beliefs can't change. Like you was racist and you're not racist now. That's not what I mean.
right,
If you
right,
know you like something, and so you let somebody convince you that that's not what you like, and it's not something that's bad for you, it's not self-deprecating, it's not any of those things. If they convince you that that's not, that's a lack of passion and joy.
right, right,
Things you
right,
were passionate about now, you can't be passionate about. Things that um, are a sense of joy from you. If your joy is coming from something outside of you, or they
mm,
want your joy to come from them, listen. Somebody told me the other day I look happy with uh, somebody else, and I said I was happy before him. I'm happy with him, but I was happy before him. He is not the source of my happiness. He is the
exactly.
source of some smiles. He pours more into the happy cup. He don't take out of it. So he pours more things into me that perpetuate. Okay, if I need this to be happy for myself, then he adds to those things so that it makes my happiness come in be in abundance.
Right,
Do that, but he's not the source of it.
right, right.
Because who want to be with a mean person anyway? Like who want to be with an unhappy person? We
True.
can't even be. If you're unhappy and I'm happy, if I'm already happy and you're unhappy, then I'll spend time and energy trying to make you happy. If you're already happy, we can be happy together and the happiness grows. It's double the happiness now.
And that's with everything too, with happiness, with peace, with, because
Yes.
I hear that a lot. That's like a big trend. Like, be my peace or be a man's peace or whatever. And it's like, no, why don't you have your own peace and your own joy first, and everything else be secondary rather than somebody
I could be peaceful for you.
Right, yeah. This will be, I can be a peace. Right.
A sense of solace with you.
Right.
If I'm at war with myself, I should be able to look at you and my spirit recognizes your spirit and be like, that's peace. So it should remind you that you have your own peace. We do it that way, but don't count on me for everything because I'm not your mama. I'm not a therapist. I'm not God. Whether you believe in him or not, I do. So I'm gonna talk about him. I already said that. And who gonna change me? Anyway.
And I mean, and we can say it that way. We can say it for the secondary person, but you can also look at yourself as well first to make sure that you know at the end. I think that's what you were saying before. Like at the end of the day, I know where my peace comes from, where my joy comes from. So I'm not pulling on you to be that. Because to make somebody have the job of God in your life, that's crazy. That's I mean, like to be God for you.
That's not their job.
It's not their job, and they could never.
They're gonna be good at it. Could never. Not gonna be good at that. That's not for them.
Right.
That's for them.
So.
We talked already about the lack of confidence. Another thing that happens is I call it the trifecta because you have regret, then you resent, and now you're angry. So I regret that I did this, that, and that person. Now I'm resentful because you didn't appreciate all the changing that I did for you. And I can be like, all the problems in my last relationships was because I did all this for them. I didn't do nothing wrong. I'm a saint. I'm cool with all my exes. Most of them. But I do realize that everything that happened, I allowed. Nobody told me I had to change. I did it because I wanted to be with them. Now, the things they was asking me to change might have made them jackasses.
Right.
For using my love in a way, for using my love instead of just receiving it. Because you used my love, but you didn't receive it. If you would have just let yourself be loved, it might have been different, but it wasn't supposed to work. Because it had worked, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Right.
Be able to feel loved in the capacity that I do now. Because I was like we was discussing the other day. I know I'm loved now by actions and not words. So when somebody tells me they love me, I know that they do because it has been shown. It has been shown. And, I did the love languages and all that. One of my love languages is acts of service. But for anything in my life, I need to see, because you can say a lot of things. People can say a lot of things. It's easy to act like you're going to do this or act like you're going to do that or tell somebody what sounds good. What are you doing?
Right.
Because I said yesterday, love is a verb. And with the losing yourself, when we were talking about the sex part of it, I had wrote down, because we said this a little bit yesterday, me and Chloe, was, how do you feel after this? We can do this, we can have this type of relationship, but how do I feel after this happens? And that should be an indicator for you. Like if you with somebody, you love them, cool. How do you feel after this? How do you feel after a fight? How do you feel after sex? How do you feel after, how do you feel after everything? Because if it's a question mark after every time y'all do anything, and not just sex, there's a question mark after every time y'all talk. And not good question marks. Like, did I make him mad? Did I make her mad? Is she going to be okay? Should I have said that after everything? Like, how do you feel after these things?
Right.
Would be a good indication, too, that something is lost somewhere. Because why are you questioning everything? Now, I always say you got to watch and you got to pray. But you got to watch. You got to watch, because you can pray like a blanket prayer, I call it. When you watch, okay, God, I'm going to pray that what I just saw was not the demon of insecurity popping up because I'm watching. So God, if that's what that is, tell it depart from me, from him, from her, or whoever, and let me know if this is a problem so I can go. Because you can do a blanket. Not like he won't answer the blanket prayer, but be specific. Watch. You gotta watch. You got pay attention because
You're saying pay attention to their actions.
yes, the action, not what they saying, actions. Because you can tell somebody can tell you my favorite color is red, but you ain't never seen them wear anything red. They don't have nothing red in their house. They don't have nothing red in their car. All you see them in is blue. So you're like, your favorite color is red. So you buy them something red and they got an attitude. But you said, okay, what you saying is not matching what you're doing.
What you're doing, right.
You gotta watch and pay attention to what.
But I feel like people will always show you who they are regardless. The fact, your responsibility is to be cognizant, and the word says that be sober yet cognizant. Make sure that you're
diligent,
of emotions, because you can be so invested and want this to work so badly. And like, that's one thing I definitely did in the relationship.
Can't fail.
Huh?
To have that, I can't fail type A because I was an honor roll student. I had to be good. I'm perfect at everything. Everything better be great.
Right. And for me, it was like, we are here, we have a family, I'm gonna make this work. And I remember specifically, and I say this a lot, I remember specifically after I became pregnant with my second child, I was moving with their dad to another state, and I was sleeping and I was lucid in sleep, and I felt God say, go home. I don't care that you're pregnant, but this is not your husband. And I sat up, and in my spirit I said, leave me alone. This is my family, and I am going to make this work. This is going to work, and I will make it work. And that is like the kiss of death. We're talking about words too. Like, I'm basically saying like, and it would, from the day I touched down to the day I ran away, it was hell on earth, literally. Literally. And so my point from saying that is just like, make sure that you within yourself, because they could be showing you who they are all day, every day. You could know for everything, but you
only seeing what makes you only seeing the things that you consider good because I want to stay. I don't want to do that.
Exactly. And that's another thing about prayer too. It's just like, okay, yes, you're gonna pray, but what is like, not your motive, but like, do you have a clean heart to where if God did speak to you, you would receive it? You get what I'm saying? Like, or would you be still on the fence? Because we do those blanket prayers when we want it to sway one way, and we don't want it to be the other answer. But we just want to say it just so it's out there, just so it's like,
I prayed about this.
I prayed about it, but it's
like,
are
you going to listen to the answer?
Did you? Right.
Because you could try to blanket prayer your way out of it, and he still be like, nah, fam.
This is not that, but you can have so much of your will, your desire can trump that every single time. So what you're saying is it's like, pay attention, but like, you can only really pay attention if you want to pay attention.
Yes, pay attention to everything.
And your responsibility is to believe it. Believe everything. And I think in our minds, we kind of just like push it back. I don't know if that's like a defense mechanism, but it's like push it to the back to not accept it for what it is. We know what that is.
You know it ain't right. Like, deep down, you know it ain't right.
Look at you like you're crazy, right? But in this instance, like, no, but I know this person's a good person. I've seen this relation. We've been good before. This is just a phase. Maybe they're just mad. Maybe they're just not in a good place. And it's like, no.
It's not. You're not in a good place because you're there. I told you to leave. Like, it's almost like when people, because I've asked for signs before. I asked for signs, and I was like, God, should I wait on this or should I not? And he said, wait on it. And I was like, I waited 5 minutes. Let's go. And then it's like,
on our time though.
If you asked me and I told you, and God is really been speaking to me about timing. And the more I pray about timing and anxiety, the more stuff tries to happen to make me feel like, and I'm glad I got friends like you and like my other girls who be like, listen, don't mess up something. Don't sabotage yourself. It is good. Stop looking for something wrong. And that's another reason why people need to heal, because if you're dealing with the aftermath of losing yourself, your confidence is gone. You accept anything when you've lost yourself. I want to say that too, real quick. You will accept anything. And by anything, I mean all forms of abuse. And you may not know that it's abuse because some people don't ever have to put your hands on you. But baby, them emotional abusers.
Yep. You don't have anything.
Those are a different type of scars.
Right.
They can change your whole, it's dangerous. It can be dangerous. And I'm not negating anybody who's been through any physical or domestic issues, but it's dangerous.
Right.
When you can talk somebody into or put in somebody's head a different view or idea about themselves, and you can get them to do things. That's why we got shows like Fatal Attraction or I Kill for My Husband or for my man, because now you have allowed somebody into you in such a way, they're literally in your head. Their thoughts are your thoughts. You don't have no thoughts. If they say jump, how high? Go shoot that person. Okay. That's not even, that's dangerous place to be. And God had to get me like, hey, I'm not saying that any of my exes would have had me out here like that, but it's a progression. One manipulation is different from the next. And if you would accept this one, let me push the envelope a little further. You will accept this. You will accept this. And then where else is there to go from there?
On, and then you get
more dangerous.
I mean, right.
So it's important, but I was saying it's important to heal because being loved correctly after being loved incorrectly, even if you're healed from some things are in the present or in the process of still healing, is going to throw you for a loop because you're going to want to do and say and think all the things you thought in them relationships that didn't work. You're going to want to run back to. That's another thing that was in there. You're going to want to go back to what you know. Right. You got to renew your mind and stuff daily. Daily, several times during the day. Sometimes I would have to be like, this thought cannot be of God because I know who God says He is. I know who I think I am. I know this about myself. So this thought don't serve any purpose but to destroy something. I'm in a good mood. So this thought has came to destroy this mood. I'm happy. So something has come to try to make me sad. I'm not upset. Something comes to annoy me. Like I had to examine, why am I irritable right now? Ain't even nothing wrong. What you even upset for? Where did that even come from? And you throw whole thoughts away and be like, I'm straight because that thought don't even make this. That doesn't even make any sense to have that right now. You're on a high. Things are going good. What's wrong right now? Nothing is wrong in your life right now. So why is this thought here? And I'm not saying that if you have intuition or discernment on the issue to ignore that. But that's, again, you have to know who you are. To recognize discernment and intuition and knowing when something ain't right versus ain't nothing wrong happen. Pattern. Because sometimes people will mess up the whole pattern.
Right.
But for what you know already, why would that thought come here? This isn't that person. So this you have to be healed to know who you are, and you have to know who you are because you will lose yourself. And because I want to say that if you know who you are early enough, it is easier to bounce back if you've lost yourself. But I started off with my identity being attacked.
Right.
You know, so it has been a fight up until this point, but I know who I am now. And I think I have a much more a harder resolve, because I've been fighting since right till up until this day. I had to fight some thoughts today. I had to fight some thoughts before I get on here, but to be like, don't nobody want to listen to you talk, what you look like before you get on here. But I was like, you know what? Listen, I said yesterday, I'm fat and fine. You know, something about that, because sometimes when I say I'm fat, people be like, "You not fat?" Oh, baby, it's not an insult to me. That's just another term for me being big.
Don't even get me started, Samia. Don't.
I said yesterday, I know somebody who like it, so it ain't like besides me, because I like it, I love it.
Don't even get me started on the subject I wanted to put, but I know what you're saying, and you really have to get to the point.
I said I was fat. I didn't say I was ugly.
They're not synonymous, so stop trying. I'm probably going to do the post after this, because I've been holding back, but it's happened a couple more times, and I'm about done with it. And I'm over it. So, well, but going back to what you were saying, I understand. And that's really part of the flesh package. That's like, that's where we have to, you know, like, you have to literally subdue it. Like, everybody thinks like once you come to Christ, everything will be washed away and everything's going to be fine and everything's going to be cool. And if anything, it will be amplified, because now you're coming to your creator. You're learning your identity. You're seeing, you know what I mean? You're coming to your purpose.
Since I got baptized, it just seemed like
everything starts getting attacked off, right? And it's just like,
oh, wow.
It's so important to, like, you have to. And like we were talking about before, the script in scripture, it says, be sober, but be vigilant, because emotions can literally have us going at this way or that way or whatever, and that's
just because you feel it, that don't mean it's true.
Like, yeah, you would just have to kind of like capture those and imprison those thoughts, yeah, just go from there. Basically, you have to just subdue it, and just, that's why it's so important for us to be in the Word of God. And even like when you were talking, it made me think of the journey that I'm on, of not that there's anything wrong with the church. There's nothing wrong with going to church, but there is something in me where I want to start taking my own journey on my own of learning the word for myself. And I only say that because I want to bring it full circle to where the same thing, when you have your identity in Christ, nobody can come against it. Nobody can.
Right. You get lost in church too.
Well, even that, but also like when we are listening to the word of God by a pastor, by whoever it may be, it is through their lens. But for me, it's just kind of like, in this season, it's about refocusing and learning the word of God through my lens, through my filter. If that makes any sense, I hope that it makes sense what I'm saying, because I'm kind of just saying it. So to circle it back to relationship, is like, I need to be so engulfed in God and my identity that if you come around my way, cool. It's cool if you come around, but I'm never going to, you're not going to be my source, because I know what my source is. I know it for myself. So somebody can't come and tell me, like, you know, there's a lot of stories, which I'm not taking away from anybody that victimizes people in this way, but there are a lot of cults, and there are a lot of religious groups that come together because of that, because you don't know it for yourself, so you go off of what
there's no question.
Right. And I mean, that's obviously an extreme side of it. I'm just saying that so
right. And that's the same reason why, a lot of people don't, they say this, that, and about the Bible, and it's this whole woke movement. But if you haven't read it, then you can't speak to me on what I've read. You haven't read it. Your reference is what the general people say about this, that, and the third, or what people post on Facebook, or what they read in articles. How many of you, I say this all the time, have read an actual book?
Right.
What source of information that's coming from stuff from somebody? Okay, who wrote that? Google that
Right.
person. What have they written? Where have they have been a
Right.
made publication? People like to say this, that, and the third about diseases, and even with like something is like the coronavirus. If I want to read something that somebody said, you know what I go to? I go to the CDC website. I look up
Right.
medical journals, Harvard Medical School. I look up that stuff, actual doctors and research with anything. Where are you getting the information from? And then what I was writing down is, because you're talking about how the message comes to you, I said, because God talks to you how you would understand it. He talks to you how you would understand it. So he's going to talk to you at your level of understanding, because his understanding is not our understanding. He can't explain the ways of himself to us because his thoughts are higher than ours. So he has to explain it to you how you would receive it. And then you explain it to other people. Now, it might be some people, it's 7.1 billion people on earth. There are a few people out here who we think alike. We think the same.
Right.
But I always say you can give 10 different people the same scripture, and they're all going to get something different out of it, because it's going to be filtered through their level of understanding. So like you see with the
Exactly.
cults and stuff, that's another way people lose themselves, is because everybody wants to be a part of a whole. We're already all part of a whole. We're all part of the body. So by the body, y'all, I mean Jesus. So we're all a part of the body. If you don't know that, or you don't feel that, and you're looking for something to be a part of, cults become appealing because the need to be a part of something. But like for example, my family structure, I'm my mom's and my dad's child. I'm a part of both of them. Both of my parents are remarried. So there's another family now that I'm a part of. I'm a part of that too. I'm a member of Live Church. You're a member. So we're a part of that community. I'm a woman, so I'm part of that. I'm Black, so I'm part of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm short. Every distinguishing feature, you're a part of something. But if you don't think like that, or you don't know that, then you feel like all of you have to be a part of one thing. And then that's all you are. You need something else to define you, when you already, your existence is your definition. So you don't need anything outside of you to define you. You're here, you're alive, so you are defined. You came into existence. You were birthed, you were born. Your existence is the definition of you. So you don't need anything outside of you to tell you you were made and created. That's your definition right there. Your
And
definition
even,
is your name.
yeah, we're talking about cults, but that's even like family, friends.
Right.
We don't even have to go that far. We could just stay right here, like families, friends, and
You're a
things like
part
that.
of something, but that's not you. It's a part. Like you're you already.
Right.
You're a whole you. You are you already. There are parts of you that get taken to this, but at the end of the day, you're still you. Because eventually most people grow up, get married, and start their own thing that they're a part of. Like in the family, you're the mom, but you're still you. Your part in the family is the mom. That's not who you are. That's not your
identity. Sometimes we try to take our titles and make it us. Like I'm Laumanu, but I try to take it, and I'm mom, and now this is me, and I am it, but you're not. I'm me. I'm still Laumanu, right? Right. And I also want to touch on the point of like, and to make it clear too, because we're speaking of our younger selves, but this process, healing process, going through things like this, what I'm learning, because I'm noticing there's a lot of women attaching to me and things like that. And I'm sharing my testimony, they're sharing their testimony. And one thing I really am learning is age is nothing. Like,
at all.
People try to make it seem like, okay, because for me too, it's just like, oh, that happened in my 20s. Like, I mean, if not in my 20s, I'm still in my 20s. But I mean, like, that happened when I was like in my teen years transitioning. That's like a kid thing. Like that, and it's not. It's like mentality and the way like things that happen to us. it doesn't have an age where it comes and goes.
Right. There's no age limit on it.
Very well go through this in your 40s and your 50s and your 60s and should not feel bad about having to go through the healing process after the, like, as the aftermath of losing yourself. You can lose yourself late in life too. It can happen.
It can be a slow process.
Right.
Because mine was like through my whole life, it was things here and there, like trying to make me or leading me to be lost, and I just became more lost than before. I'm a little off course now. I'm way off course. We can't even reroute now. Now I just start from a whole nother destination, kind of lost. Right. So I think it's different levels to being lost.
True. And what is making you feel lost? What is it? And I mean, that's a case by case basis, obviously, but like everything that we're talking about is just like people shouldn't feel bad if it is happening in later life, because it is it might be like healing is more, people speak about it more with regard to people of younger age, if you will. So that's why I'm bringing it up, to be just like make it clear, like don't think because you're later in life that you are exempt from.
Right. So I was just saying, excuse me for yawning. I'm not sleepy. It just happens when I'm cold. So, because it is past my bedtime, but whatever.
It is past my bedtime too.
But all in all, there is just so much that goes on after you lose yourself.
I'm doing something right now. You can have it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Baby.
You can take this part out.
Yeah. Okay. And we're back. Some people have babies. You're lucky that the dogs ain't down here acting a fool, because I got to talk to them like they toddlers.
No, my kids are asleep. This is the other child, but
listen.
Anyways, but yeah.
The old people and dogs are just like toddlers. Cause come look at this. Okay. Okay. The dogs will run up and down these stairs and I have to tell them, stop running up and down the stairs like I'm talking to little kids. But anyway, moving on. I was just about to, wrap it up anyway. And I just wanted to end with this. Like, it is important to heal. It is important to understand the signs of being lost. If you ever get to a point where you're like, what am I doing? You're probably about to get lost. That's what you're doing. So I hope this helps somebody.
Focus, yes.
Any last words from you? I'm going to do that first. Any last words from you on the aftermath of losing yourself?
Any last words for me? I'm going to kind of piggyback on what you were saying. Healing is really important. Refocusing, making sure that I don't think it'll ever be too late, because I know that we were talking about voices in our head. Don't ever let that voice speak to you and tell you it's too late. This is what it is. Because we ultimately know who that is. We know that the enemy is coming against you and convincing you that this is where you're going to be, where you're going to be stuck at. It is never too late to refocus and get back on track, whatever that looks like for you, for your value system. And also to move forward. You can move forward. Like we were saying, you can love after. You can move on after.
Possible. I'm telling you. I'm a testimony. It is possible. It's scary. I'm gonna keep it 100. It's scary, but don't let fear convince you that everything is going to be the same, because there are people out here who don't mean you any good. But if you're healed, it's easier to spot. If you're healed, it's easier to discern. If you watch and pray, you have a better idea. Like, hey, don't accept any of the red flags.
Yeah.
Like we said yesterday, some people like to run red lights, and some of you know where the red lights are. And you like to be like, oh, I know this light be yellow for so long. Hey, them yellow lights, they're cautionary.
Right. They're telling you that something is Right.
You
Right.
need to
Right.
get your antennas together. Make sure you're grounded in yourself. Make sure that you're paying attention to how pay attention to how everything makes you feel. But don't just rely on your feelings. Use some logic. Use some thought. Use some common sense. Pay attention.
And don't let
Matter.
emotion drive you.
Yes.
Exactly. And I would also say that especially when you do, I mean, we all do eventually want to be with somebody. Whoever, we talked about it early, like heal, because whatever you embody is what you're going to attract. Mm-hmm. But also whatever you're looking for, become that, because you will attract.
Yes, come on.
So that's really what I want to end.
Whatever you're looking for, you need to become that, because I am a firm believer of, I need to stop asking for stuff that I don't have from out of another person. And I don't mean financially, or because I ain't really worried about that. I can take care of myself. Right. You know, people say, what do you bring to the table? Me. I'm the table. Forget the table. I'm the house. I'm the estate.
And like you said, like even more than financially, because financial is so not low, but it's just like the tip of the iceberg. It's just like, as I feel like
as an adult, you should have that already together.
Huh?
As an adult, you should have that together for yourself and not depend on another person to
be that for you. I do agree with that, but I would also say from the other side, it's like when we are raised as girls, typically in society, they teach us that. They teach us a man should provide for you and things like that, which is fine. But I feel like you should have that for yourself, first of all. Second of all, even more than one thing that people love to teach, which I love to cook, but it's taught like you need to know how to cook and clean and all these things. And it's like you never talked about how you need to know how to communicate, how you need to know how to apologize when you're wrong, or how to sit down and have real conversations. Like these are the real things that we should be saying to prepare ourselves. So if I'm saying I want somebody who can hold themselves accountable for their actions, I need to be able to do that for myself first too.
Right. So, and all of this, things that need to happen so that you don't lose yourself, because you can get with somebody and they can tell you who you are. And because they love you, and you love them, they must be able to tell me who I am because they love me. Right. That is not how this works. That's not how any of this works. We might have to do a part 2 on that. This episode, just like we might have to do a part 2 on the first one, because it gets so much deeper than this. But I want to thank my lovely, beautiful guest, Laumanu, for today.
Thank you.
This is the Queen's Realm podcast. I'm your host, Samia the Poet, and I will see y'all the next episode. Peace.